Hi everyone, we are back. My name is Vinnie. This guy over here is out in North Carolina buying investments, I'm assuming.
We were out here seeing family and researching investments, looking at properties. It's a very interesting market. You always want to expand your horizon when you're thinking about real estate. So, just try and think bigger and more things can happen.
Yeah, so what kind of values out there?
I mean, let's not make everyone depressed in San Diego about the values of houses out here because they're a little bit cheaper and gas is $2.69 a gallon. And you could buy a house out here for 200,000. 300,000 buys you a really nice house. 400,000 buys you a giant, amazing house.
That's crazy. Well,
Yeah,
one
it's
thing,
a little crazy.
so we got some relative positive news. Your daughter right there.
Yeah, she's here hanging out.
We got some relative positive news. So first off, well, I guess for sellers, inventory went down a little bit. We were above 5,000. Currently, they're below 5,000, but really, it's not really that big of a difference. Pending has actually gone down a tad bit too. So it's not, I mean, nothing too crazy. But for sellers, I mean, it's a good avenue. One thing that I thought was interesting is, and I'm gonna make a video about this, but they were talking about, oh well, you got so many more choices, so much more property in the market. People are scared. Something to think about is the median detached price right now is roughly the same median detached. Actually, it's higher than the same time last year. It was a million 50, and right now it's a million 80. So the same time last year, the prices are higher than they were by 30,000 for the detached properties. So, I mean, it's stuff to think about. The sky's falling, blah blah. But another thing that I guess positive more for buyers is interest rates. I'm going to bring the screen. You can talk about rates. I know you're out and about, so you might not have all your stuff going, but I'm going to show the screen real fast, and you kind of see from that peak that we had when we had the dip to 675 or 660 for fixed, and then we went up to 698 for fixed, and now we're down to 687. So gone down a little bit.
Well, I mean, the thing is if you look at the bigger picture, Vinny, what I think you're saying is you look over this whole time frame of the last year, and everybody thought the sky was falling and the market was crashing, and now a year later, look where we're at, and unfortunately, supply and demand economics always comes back to play. And I think it was maybe a week or so ago, you released the annual the builds for San Diego was like 5,000 new construction, 5,000, but out of 5,000, 4,000 of them were multifamily and units, which means only 1,000 were new homes. Which for anyone out there that wants to buy a single family residence, that means whoever's buying a single family residence right now has more value than it's ever had because we're not building more of them. And that's a problem for San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's always interesting because I mean, probably right before COVID. I mean, even probably before that, the sky's falling. Right, everything that happens, the sky's
Yeah.
falling. The one comment has been you find a property where you're comfortable with the monthly payments, and you'll be fine. I mean, unless you really think the market's going to crash, which I mean, we've talked about it. We'd have to have so much down the properties where people have to sell, right? And compared to actually people that I want to sell, right? If you have to sell, you're going to sell for drastically lower. If you want to sell, okay, I'll hold on to the property. We don't have a lot of people that have to sell foreclosure properties, things like that. So
No, they're they're
adjust the
they're like
rules.
1%. 1% of the sales right now are foreclosures.
Yeah. So I mean, so that idea that okay, well, I'm going to wait until the market crashes or anything like that, you got to think that hey, focus on your situation because that's going to be. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna actually change the screen again right fast. Let me take this
Change
off.
the screen because it's like so this last week for everyone out there that's looking at, yeah, there's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going wrong. But at the same time, the nature of the whole story is when you come fully back is if you're going to live here, if you're going to invest in real estate and you're not holding on to it long term, That's a problem. If you're buying real estate thinking, oh, I'm going to buy it right now and it's going to be good in a year or two, things can go wrong. But if you buy and hold longer term, it's always better. And the market's showing you that right now. And the volatility this last week has been absurd.
So you look right here, what I just talked about. So for the detached properties, right? It's higher. Now it did go up to the peak, went to 1090, and we're not there yet. We'll see how this month goes. I mean, if we'll get to basically the peak where we were last year. Now, the interesting thing is, and again, if you've been listening to us the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, we've been talking about there's two different markets. You have the condo market, you have the attached market, you have the detached market. We've been talking about this pretty black and white. And there's been a lot of stuff that's happened in the attached market, right? That's why you see the values drop, right? They've dropped from that peak of 700,000 and they're currently at 695. So nothing crazy, but they have dropped. Now, again, the farther along we go, where people get adjusted to it, where you have basically the umbrella policies of these HOAs or umbrella insurance policies for these HOAs actually start going into effect, you have basically kind of a normalcy for actually what the monthly HOA amount's going to be. You're going to start seeing over time these values kind of trickle back up again. But for the detached market, it's a totally different market. They don't have those issues.
The other thing that we'll mention, it just because a lot of you are going to relate to this, is if you noticed that earthquake this week and you wondered, did anything happen with insurance? I'm going to tell you flat out, my insurance went up $50. So there's a lot of interesting things happen as well. So with that earthquake, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, maybe I'll sell my home now. Maybe this is wrong. Maybe this is going to be another event that tips the market. Even with that earthquake that happened, the market is not tipping and falling over. But personal experience, my insurance did go up by $50.
Yeah, insurance is going to go up. Someone brought it up, and I thought it was an interesting way of putting it, that buying a house over time is going to be cheaper than renting, right? And I was like, okay, well, what are they getting to? And they go, well, anyone that's buying a property as an investment property, which is hard to do unless you're buying multifamily in San Diego County, anyone that's buying an investment property wants to make sure that they can actually break even or make money on their investment, right? So that community of investors that do buy, right, in San Diego still, right, which it's hard to actually do that. Over time, they're going to bring the rents up to get to the point where, okay, the rents got to off balance with the purchase. So I thought it was interesting in putting it. Now, how long does that take? How long does it take to balance out for the rents to come to the price point that it's same for the mortgage? It's going to take, I mean, it sometimes takes a while, right? But over time, you probably are going to see that.
I mean, full disclosure, I'm just going to give the hats off to Vinnie here. He scored a great rental. And sometimes you find a great rental at a great price, you win big. And that only happens when you're working with someone who's smart, who's a very good agent to actually find those deals. So don't let, correct. He's 100% spot on. But it doesn't mean that there's not deals out there that you can find or a great realtor can find that can get you a good deal on investment property that cash flows and makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, guys, focus on your situation. Focus on what you're looking to accomplish. We're here to help. How we can help. But we try to keep this short.
You want to do mortgage rates really quick?
Yeah, go. Let me bring that screen back up.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw this out there. Mortgage rates this whole week have been pretty much a disaster with up and down in the bond market. And for those of you who are trying to time the market with interest rates, be very careful. Make sure your lender knows what they're doing. Rates have been up the entire week. It's fluctuating back and forth. But if you look at like the shows that me and Vinnie were doing a week ago or 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
we were down at 6.25, down at 6.125 APR at an eighth, and now you're up at 6.75 is average 6.8. That's a big difference compared to basically 10 days ago. So take that into account. Don't let it, don't look at it and be like, oh, I shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. If you're buying to hold long term, it's still worth it. And long term means 5 to 7 years minimum.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy your time out, David. And while David's gone, he's still working. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to David, his daughter, or myself. We're all here to help.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Close it.